Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving right into the intense psychological and political tension hidden deep within the opening verses of an absolutely legendary ancient Indian epic. Now, on the surface, sure, it reads like your standard historical account of massive armies assembling for war. But when we actually peel back the layers of the source material, we uncover a gripping psychological thriller. It's packed with hidden agendas, deep-seated anxieties, and some truly masterful political spin that sets the stage for the epic battle of Kurukshetra.
So let's step right onto this ancient battlefield. What we're really looking at here is a highly relatable human drama about masking total panic with absolute professionalism. I mean, we've all been in that situation, right? You feel completely overwhelmed, but you have to project total confidence to the room. Now, magnify that feeling by about 1,000,000 and put yourself on the literal brink of an epic war. What actually happens when a powerful leader is secretly terrified? How do they act? Who do they talk to? How on earth do they try to regain control of the narrative? Well, as you'll see, the source texts give us a brilliant step-by-step blueprint of exactly how this plays out.
Section 1. Whispers on the Battlefield. We're going to start our narrative right at the foundation of the conflict, with a very anxious king seeking updates from his advisor, Sanjaya, about a highly volatile military standoff.
According to our source material, King Dhṛṣṭadyumna was blind from birth. But the texts point out a much deeper, more critical flaw here. He was totally bereft of spiritual vision. He knew his own sons were entirely lacking in piety and religion, and he knew their rivals, the Pāṇḍavas, were pious basically from day one. So why was he so incredibly anxious right now? Well, the text reveals he was secretly doubting the influence of the physical location of the battle itself, which was a place of pilgrimage. He was actually terrified that this holy atmosphere might cause his corrupt sons to suddenly compromise and make peace.
Now, Sanjaya, the king's advisor, is so perceptive here. The source text tells us that Sanjaya could read exactly what the king was asking between the lines. He saw this despondent, anxious leader, and so he immediately moved in to comfort him. Sanjaya basically tells the king, look, your sons are not going to be swayed by this holy place. They absolutely are not going to back down. This one interaction perfectly sets the mood for the whole text. It's not just about swords and chariots. It's about this intense psychological warfare happening before a single arrow is even fired.
Section 2. Fear masked as diplomacy. Let's move down to the ground level and see how this plays out with Dhṛṭadyumna's son, King Duryodhana. This is where the political maneuvering really kicks into high gear.
Text 2 tells us that the moment Duryodhana sees the enemy phalanx, he immediately seeks out his commander-in-chief, Droṇācārya, and he's projecting the image of a completely composed, calculating politician. Notice the specific action here. He looks at the opposing army, which the text notes is expertly arranged, and he doesn't panic outwardly. He doesn't run away. Instead, he goes directly to the absolute top of his own chain of command. The commentary points out that even though Duryodhana is the king, the sheer gravity of the situation forces him to go straight to his commander. It's a highly calculated political move to assess the very real, very dangerous position on the ground.
But here is the fascinating truth hidden just beneath that slick diplomatic veneer. Duryodhana was actually deeply frightened by the enemy's military arrangement. He was internally panicking and had to do some serious damage control. The source text analysis explicitly states that while he was quite fit to be a politician, his diplomatic mask simply could not disguise the fear he felt. This is the absolute core of his character in this moment. He's looking at an incredibly formidable opposing force, and he is terrified. But as a leader, he can't show it. So everything he does and says from this point forward is a masterclass in managing his own fear while trying to assert dominance over his military commander.
Section 3. The teacher's fatal mistake. To regain control of the situation, Duryodhana decides to manipulate his commander by deliberately poking at a haunting mistake from the past. Let's explore exactly how he pulls this off.
Okay. In text 3, Duryodhana masterfully points out the enemy formation and specifically rubs it in that it was arranged by Droṇācārya's own student. Think about the twisted psychology here. Duryodhana needs his commander to be completely ruthless in the coming fight. So how does he guarantee that? By pointing at the opposing army and essentially saying, hey, look at that brilliant military formation out there. You know who set that up? Your student. It's literally a passive-aggressive masterclass. Duryodhana, playing the great diplomat, is intentionally highlighting a massive, embarrassing, strategic defect in his own commander's past. And the backstory to this moment? It is immensely ironic. Let's actually trace this timeline provided in the text commentary. because it is wild. Droṇācārya had a bitter political quarrel with King Drupada. In response, Drupada performed a great sacrifice and literally received a son whose sole, absolute destiny was to kill Droṇācārya. Now, Droṇācārya knew this perfectly well. Yet when this very boy was sent to him for military education, Droṇācārya, being this incredibly liberal and duty-bound teacher, didn't hold back at all. He taught the boy all his military secrets. And now, today on the battlefield, that very boy has used those exact secrets to arrange the enemy forces against him.
So the crucial takeaway here is that Duryodhana is using this fatal past mistake to warn Droṇa. Do not be lenient with your enemies today, especially not with your favorite student Arjuna. Duryodhana is seriously twisting the knife here. He brings up this unbelievable act of past leniency just to put his commander on high alert. He's essentially saying, look, your softness in the past created the exact problem staring us in the face today. Do not make the same mistake twice. The source texts highlight that Duryodhana was incredibly worried about Droṇācārya being too affectionate towards the opposing warriors since they were his former students. By bringing this up, Duryodhana is making it crystal clear. Any leniency today will guarantee total defeat.
Section 4. Assessing the unbeatable foe. Having perfectly set this psychological trap for his commander, Duryodhana then turns his full attention to the terrifying reality of the enemy's actual strength.
In text 4, Duryodhana starts listing these great fighters, viewing every single one of them as a massive stumbling block on his path to victory. He doesn't just stop at pointing out the enemy commander, he starts dropping names: Yuyudhana, Virata, Drupada. The source text explicitly refers to them as heroic bowmen and great fighters. Duryodhana is surveying this battlefield, and literally everywhere he looks, he sees an incredibly dangerous threat. Even though his own commander is a master of the military arts, Duryodhana's internal fear is forcing him to see these opposing warriors as completely insurmountable obstacles.
And he reveals the true depth of his panic by comparing all these rival warriors to the terrifying might of Bhima and Arjuna, basically admitting just how unbeatable the foe truly seems. This comparison right here perfectly captures how fear works in the human mind. Duryodhana doesn't just say, wow, these guys are strong. The text notes that he equates every single one of them to Bhima and Arjuna, who are the absolute benchmarks for terrifying military prowess. By doing that, Duryodhana is betraying just how utterly outmatched he feels on the inside, even while he stands tall and speaks like a king on the outside.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought on human nature, past actions, and the desperate masks we all wear when facing overwhelming odds. Today, we've seen a blind king hoping for a magical loophole, a terrified prince wearing the mask of a calculated diplomat, and a great teacher haunted by the very student he armed. It shows us that before the physical battle even begins, the psychological war is already raging. Think about how much these ancient texts mirror the complexities of leadership and panic that we still see today. So I'll leave you with this. When the battle lines are drawn, can't any amount of diplomacy truly save you from the ghosts of your own past? Thank you so much for joining me as we unraveled the incredible layers hidden within these verses. Keep analyzing, keep questioning, and I'll see you in our next explainer.